ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जना शलाकया चक्षुर्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaye Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Yam Pravajantam Manupeta Apeta Krityam Rapayano Viraha Katara Ajuhava Utreti Tanmaitaya Taravo Binedus Tam Savabhutam Hridayam Munimanatasmi Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Bhaktya Vihina Parada Lakshai Kiptascha Kamadi Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapanna Vrinde Namaste Charanada Vindam Tave Vasmi Najivami Tvayavina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayanam Charanandike Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So we're going to continue hearing, in this case from Jaiva Dharma, from chapter 24, about Sri Harinam. We've been hearing about the 10 offenses, Nam Aparadha. And so we begin by offering our most humble obeisance unto the lotus feet of our beloved Gurus, unto Sri Guru Pada Padma Nitilita Bhavishta, Om Vishnupada Tatsat Sri Simad Abhaya Charnaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada, and unto Sri Guru Pada Padma Nitilita Bhavishta, Om Vishnupada Asta Tatsat Sri Simad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, unto our exalted Rupanuga Varga and all assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. All right, so we left off, we had been given a quick overview in the discussion between Vijay Kumar Brajanath and Raghunath Das Babaji Maharaj about Nam Aparadha, its distinction from Shuranam. And now Vijay is going to ask, please make us understand all these offenses by explaining each shloka completely. Because there were shlokas from the Padma Purana which describe these aparadhas, these offenses. So, Babaji Maharaj responds that the first shloka, just a minute here, there we go. The first shloka describes two offenses. It is a great offense to blaspheme, censure, or disrespect bhaktas who have completely given up materially motivated practices such as karma, dharma, jnana, yoga, and tapasya, and who with an exclusive mood of devotion have taken shelter of Bhagavan's Sri Nam. Sri Harinam Prabhu cannot tolerate blasphemy of those who preach the factual glories of Sri Nam in this world. One should not blaspheme those bhaktas who are one-pointedly devoted to Sri Nam. Instead, one should accept them as the best of saintly persons. One should remain and perform Nam Kirtan in their association. One will certainly attain the mercy of Sri Nam quickly by doing so. So, very, very important. And we mentioned this yesterday, that this is particularly dangerous to the Kanishta Bhakta, because the symptom of the Kanishta is that they have some developing faith in the service of the deity, but they don't have understanding of really the nature of devotion. Even their faith is what's called lokik, ordinary faith, kind of material faith, not realized faith not because real faith comes when we develop into higher stages, particularly when we get closer to Shuddhanam. And when we develop Shuddhanam, then we're actually coming to the point where we begin to understand Nam and Nami is not different. But also we're beginning to understand we can detect who is the devotee and what level they're at. Remember the symptoms of the Madhyamadikari, they can detect 4 kinds of persons. They worship the Lord and his pure devotees with great love and faith, prema. They develop affection and friendship with peers, devotees on that same stage, maitri. They are compassionate and helpful to the innocent or to devotees who are not so educated, and they help them and teach them. But they neglect those who are envious and who are not interested in bhakti and are blaspheming. Right? So they can understand who is devotee and who's not. Ultimately, even the Madhyam can't understand the full glory of a Mahabhagavat. Only a Mahabhagavat can truly understand another Mahabhagavat because it's a stage of consciousness which is beyond that of the Madhyam. Right? There you're dealing with the internal realization of one's own Swarup, doing internal seva to Radha and Krishna in your internally conceived spiritual form. Right? So even the advanced Madhyam is not there yet. They may be awakening that inclination, but they can they respect devotees appropriately, and they have compassion. But the Kanishta, they only have a very rudimentary, basic understanding. And this is pretty much the stage of people in all of the worldwide religious practices. The different religions of the world, the reason they're so sectarian is that they can't recognize the divinity in even the degree of divinity that are in other practices. And it's difficult for them to detect any real spirituality because they don't have any themselves. Hardly. The Kanishta is awakening it, and that's good. I mean, after all, at least myself, I'd have to say I'm on some Kanishta level, but still some awakening sense of divinity is there. And so this first offense is a great warning. Don't criticize other great devotees. In fact, the general instruction is don't criticize anyone. Because even ordinary jivas, if you criticize them, what are you doing? You're focusing on their faults. You're creating a kind of a psychic bridge between their consciousness and your own by meditating on them and their faults. And those faults will actually come to you. And not only that, but if you're cultivating, I'm only criticizing these materialists, these karmis, this and that, but you're cultivating a mentality of criticism, a tendency. And so with the mind set in that way, it's very easy to take that same mentality and point it towards Vaishnavas. Because if you can't recognize who a Vaishnava is and you begin to criticize them, then you're finished. You're finished. That Vaishnava may not take that seriously. They're very forgiving, very humble. But Bhagavan does not easily forgive one who's criticizing his pure devotees. And as we mentioned yesterday, from Chaitanya Bhagavat, from Madhurya Kadambini, and other writings of our acharyas, even though one may externally appear to be a Vaishnava by practice, by association, institution, dress, whatever, if one has adopted this mentality and this practice of criticizing Mahabhagavats, useless. It's only show-bottle devotion. They lose their bhakti, actually lose it. So don't criticize. Don't. If you don't understand somebody, and this is common, like for instance, we have different sanghas in the Gaudiya community, right? And different acharyas, they may have a different way of organizing, different way of teaching, different way of training their disciples, because of time, place, and circumstance. Srila Prabhupada certainly did that, how he taught devotion to his brand new disciples. And even in the Gaudiya Math, this was not understood initially by some who didn't realize the caliber of personalities he was preaching to, and they said, oh, he's changing things. But he didn't change, he was just introducing step by step. And his instructions to his disciples evolved over the years as their eligibility and qualification increased, right? And so that's true in the way that acharyas will teach. And they may even teach one kind of disciple differently than another, right? So not having a broad understanding of bhakti and practically no realization, the Kanishta may find fault. But don't do that. Don't criticize. And don't criticize anyone. If you want to criticize anybody, criticize yourself, right? That's a good thing to do, because then you're always looking for improvement, right? And you're always cultivating humility. Without humility, how can we chant appropriately, right? Without what to speak of not finding fault, amanina manadena, right? Don't seek praise for yourself, but try to see all the good qualities in others, right? No respect for yourself, offering all respects to others. And, tanad api sunicha, feeling oneself very humble and low. That's a very healthy way to meditate, because we are very insignificant. We're immensely insignificant. There's a story, funny story, but apt, where one devotee came and said to Srila Prabhupada, oh, Srila Prabhupada, I am the most fallen. And Srila Prabhupada said, you're not the most or least of anything. You're simply insignificant. Really, we are. When you consider, I saw this thing the other day, this astronomer was speaking about the universe as we perceive it, right? They might not have it all accurate, but this statement is very telling. And he got these telescopes now, like Hubble and Webb, and he said, if you look at the whole sky, and he pointed out this little tiny spot that's, like if you took a coin about this big and looked at it from 25 yards away, how big would it appear? And he said, so they took this portion of the sky that doesn't look to have anything in it, the night sky, and it's this teeny, teeny little speck, and they looked way out, and they magnified it, and they found out that it had all these dots in it, all these dots. And then when they, by their magnification processes, looked deeper and deeper, they found that each of those teeny little dots was a galaxy, and which each of those galaxies were hundreds of millions of planets in that tiny little spot. And we've heard that the universe is inhabited by so many planets. The Vedic version is the same. And each of those planets, how many living beings on this planet? How many living beings in that little forest area? The bacteria, the insects, everything. It's just unimaginable how many living beings. Even the humans on this planet, 6, 7 billion, all those hundreds of millions of planets, and that tiny speck, how many in the whole universe? So, and how many universes are there? Yeah, it's like as many as mustard seeds in a giant bag, right? And each of them filled with unlimited planets. So we're so insignificant, and yet Krishna loves us, and he wants us to be with him. So we should just cultivate a little humility and don't criticize others. And it's a happier life when you're not always, that just drives you nuts, because it's a world of fault. Kaler dosha nidhe rajan, asti heko mahad guna, right? It's full of faults, this world. But there's one good thing. Kirtanad eva krishnasya mukta sangha padam vijay. Just chant Hare Krishna, and all your own faults will go away, and you'll only feel compassion for any struggles or problems with others, right? So, always stay in the association. So instead of finding fault and criticizing, recognize, honor pure devotees, remain and perform Nam Sankirtan in their association. And then we will certainly attain the mercy of Sri Nam quickly. We should always seek out high-class association, especially that association which is Snigdha and Sajatiya. That means they are naturally affectionate, inclined towards us, very favorable, and they are in the mood that we're aspiring for. Because there's so many sampradayas, and in some of the sampradayas, they're pursuing different goals, right? Maybe Vaikuntha, or maybe they're seeking to be in Dwarka, or worship Lord Ram. Nothing wrong with that. So glorious. But we want something else. Unnata Ujvala Rasam Svabhakti Sriyam, what Mahaprabhu came to give, which is that confidential Braj Prem, especially in the service of Srimati Radhika. And so in our Rupanuga line, especially those coming from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, most are like that. So that should be the direction that we look. So Vijay Kumar responds, now we can understand the first offense clearly. Kindly explain the second offense. So Babaji says, the second offense is mentioned in the second part of the first shloka, and it's been explained in two ways. The first explanation is that it is an offense to Sri Nam to consider that Sadashiv and other leaders of the Devas are independent of Sri Vishnu. According to Bahu Ishvaravad, the doctrine of many controllers, Sadashiva is a perfectly powerful controller who is independent and separate from Bhagavan Sri Vishnu. However, this conception creates an obstacle to one-pointed Hari Bhakti. Sri Krishna is actually the controller of everything and everyone. And Shiva and the other devas only achieve their positions as controllers through his power. These devas have no separate power of their own, and it is nam aparadha to perform Harinam thinking that they do so, or that they do. Right? So that's important. And we discussed that yesterday. How there are powerful deities in this universe who have been given power to oversee the functions even of secondary creation. Lord Brahma has that role. Lord Shiva, Sadashiva, in his expansion as Shambhu, is the one who actually activates the initial creation and empowers or stimulates his own Shakti, Durga, or Parvati, to create the material universe and its different elements, right? And then he injects the living entities into it. But it's Vishnu himself who creates the universes, enters into them, and then empowers Lord Brahma to do the secondary creation. But both Shiva and Brahma are empowered, they're guna avatars, empowered for specific function in the creation of the universe, right? And it's Lord Vishnu himself who maintains and empowers them, right? And there are other, Surya Dev, who energizes, everything in the universe with the power of the sun, right? Others like Ganesh, who can award so many benedictions. Indra has such an important role in overseeing the affairs of the universe. Agni, and many, many others. And people think, you can worship any of them. Well, you can worship any of them. And they can all give you specific benefits, but none can give you bhakti independently. In their role as devotees, they can bless and encourage us because these great demigods are devotees, right? Vaishnavanam Jata Shambhu, Lord Shiva is recognized as the greatest devotee, in one sense, not in the fullest sense. Bhakti-Rakshak Maharaj has indicated, well, that's sort of a propaganda, so the worshippers of Lord Shiva will understand his position. Well, he may not be God, but he's the greatest devotee. Actually, though, who is the greatest devotees? The gopis. They're so great that Lord Shiva also wanted to be a gopi. So there's that beautiful story where he becomes Gopishwar Mahadev. Right? So Lord Shiva also is a gopi. In that sense, he's one of the greatest devotees. So there aren't many independent controllers. They're empowered agents of the Lord. So to think that they're independent and equal to Lord Vishnu is incomplete. The second explanation is that it is also an offense to Sri Nam to consider that the all-auspicious intrinsic sarup of Sri Bhagavan's names, forms, qualities, and pastimes is different from Bhagavan's eternal perfect form, his vigraha. This is very hard for us to grasp. Krishna's name, his forms, his pastimes, his qualities. We envision them independently as separate aspects, but they're all complete and non-different from the Lord himself. This is something a little beyond our capacity to understand, but it's something we should try to meditate on, especially when we're trying to chant the holy name, because Krishna's intrinsic nature, Krishna's name, Krishna's qualities, and Krishna's pastimes are all transcendental and non-different from each other. One should perform Krishna Nam Sankirtan with this knowledge and realization. Otherwise there will be aparadha, offense made to Sri Nam. Thus one should perform Krishna Nam after first comprehending Sambandha Gyan. This is the process. Sambandha Gyan means to understand Krishna, Tattva, right? Shakti Tattva, right? Nature of the spiritual energy, the Srup Shakti. Understand Maya Tattva, the material energy, Jiva Tattva. So many tattvas. If we don't, and Saraswati Prabhupada has explained that without understanding Sambandha Tattva, we can't chant Shuddhanam, because we'll make this mistake. We won't be honoring Sri Nam appropriately. We won't be meditating on Sri Nam in the appropriate comprehensive way. We'll just be chanting away. Now, if Krishna were personally present before us, which he is, but we can't realize, okay. But say all of a sudden he appeared as he appears in Vrindavan before us. And we saw some pastimes, right? And we were able to detect to some degree his qualities, right? Could we at that same time understand that his name is non-different from all of these things? We wouldn't be able to yet. And would we be able to remove the inherent tendency that we have to enjoy Krishna, right, rather than serve him? No, we'd be seeing him as the most beautiful male or the most powerful person. We'd be asking for things, right, wanting things. Even Kubja, right? Well, how did Kubja come about? When Lord Ram, when Ravana's sister, Suparnika, saw Lord Ram, what was her inclination? Was she immediately purified and desiring prema? No, she wanted to have lusty relationships with Ram. She thought him an ordinary but incredibly beautiful person, most beautiful person she ever saw. And she wanted to enjoy, and she made all kinds of entreaties to him and to Lakshman. But finally, when they kept saying no, she thought, oh, the only reason he's thinking that is because he has Sita. I'll kill Sita, and then he'll enjoy with me. Because she had made herself very beautiful, so she wanted to kill Sita, right? So when she went to attack and kill Sita, then Ram indicated to Lakshman, cut off her nose and ears. And then she ran away, screaming. Now, Lord is so merciful. Why did he cut off her nose and ears? People say, why did he do that to the woman? Because internally he accepted that she wants to enjoy with me. So I will give her this facility. But not in this birth, not as a Rakshasa, and not me as Lord Ram, because I only have one wife. So she can take birth later, and she was able to take birth later as Kubja, right? The hunchback servant of Kamsa. And so in the meantime, living out her life as Suparnaka, or Suparnaka, he said, still, because I've accepted her, no one else should enjoy with her, right? And she shouldn't try to enjoy with anyone else. So if I make her ugly like this, then she can't be with anyone else. And when she takes birth next time, it'll be only for me. And that's why when she took birth, she was also a hunchback. She was very beautiful, but she was all hunched over, and so no one would want to be with her, right? And then when Krishna was in Mathura, when he had first come, and now he was established, Kubja was there in the marketplace somewhere, and when she saw him, she had all kinds of desires to be with him. And he recognized her from the previous lifetime, and he came to her and he grabbed her ears and stood on her toes and just lifted her up, straightened her up, and her hunchback was cured, and then she became extraordinarily beautiful. And seeing him, she was overwhelmed with love, and she wanted to enjoy with him. And Krishna later did go and enjoy with her, but her prem is a very unique and almost singular kind of prem. It's stimulated by seeing Krishna, and it's wanting to be with him for your own pleasure. It's recognized as prem, but the least stage of prem towards Krishna, and that's the only example that we know, according to Rupa Goswami, right? So even if somebody on that stage who's blessed by the Lord wants to enjoy with him and doesn't see it beyond that, not that selfless service that we see in the Brajbasis, then what about us? With all our desires, if we saw Krishna and he was right before us, we'd want to enjoy him, right? We wouldn't necessarily be purified. Mahaprabhu, he came and purified everyone, right? Even Jagai and Madhai. Jagai, who prevented his brother from attacking Nityananda the second time, that alone gained the favor of Mahaprabhu, even though they had done so many heinous things before that to Nityananda and Haridas, trying to attack them, chase them, curse them. But Mahaprabhu delivered Jagai because, oh, you've protected my Nimai. And then Madhai, the one that threw the pot, he's saying, wait, my brother and I, we always share everything equally. He's got prem, I don't. And Mahaprabhu said, well, you attacked my Nitai, but if he forgives you, I'll give you that prem. And of course, Nityananda, Akhanda Guru Tattva, the original guru, he forgave him. He wanted him to be delivered in the beginning anyway. And then they both got this prem. Right? So we have to first comprehend the truth, even if only theoretically in the beginning, about the non-difference in Krishna's name, qualities, pastimes. When we read about his pastimes, we read this philosophy, Sambandha Tattva, gradually it comes, the magnificence of God, and therefore the magnificence of his name, and therefore, if he were here, even if we were trying to enjoy, we would definitely chant his name with focus, wouldn't we? We'd be completely focused on him at every moment. You couldn't take your eyes off him. Even in our current state, when we see the deities, we're focused and appreciative, if only for short moments, relatively speaking. Still, according to the caliber and degree of our service, our attraction for the deity, that special vigraha, Archan Vigraha, it grows day by day as we serve. So understanding Sambandha Gyan teaches us how to serve and in what mood to serve. What's favorable, what's unfavorable. Right? Abhideya Tattva, the process of practice, is informed by Sambandha Gyan. What to do, what not to do. How to think, what not to think. Right? So, but there's also one other thing that Srila Prabhupada sometimes says about this when we're talking about the demigods. They're not independent of Krishna, they're not on the level of Krishna, but we should not disrespect them. And that goes along with the first one because they're the designated representatives of Krishna in this world to take care of the universe. Right? So, Vijay says, I can understand the first and second Nama Aparadha very well, because you have kindly explained to me the relationship of simultaneously oneness and difference between Sri Krishna's transcendental spiritual form and Sri Krishna himself, who possesses the form, and between his transcendental qualities and he who possesses those qualities, right? And between his names and he who possesses those names, and between the parts and the whole. Right? They're simultaneously one and different. He's saying that, we heard that, that's earlier in the concept of achintya bhed abhed, right? Difference and non-difference. One who is taking shelter of Sri Nam must also learn from Gurudev about the respective natures of the chit, the conscious, and the achit, unconscious tattvas, and about the relationship between them. Now kindly explain the third offense. Right? So this was all discussed earlier in the Jaiva Dharma. Bhaktivinoda Thakur so carefully and ingeniously lays out so much Sambandha Tattva before going into Nam Tattva, Nam Aparadha, and Nam Abhas. Right? So, we can't review all that here because then we'd never get through the 10 offenses. But now Babaji is going to explain the third offense. The Sri Nam Guru is he who awards instructions about the superiority of Nam Tattva. And one's duty is to maintain fixed and resolute bhakti towards him. So who is Nam Guru? Nam Guru can mean the one who gives you Harinam, and initially teaches you. But it can also be the Shiksha Guru who expands and continues to teach you about that. Generally, one's Diksha Guru is also one's Shiksha Guru. But sometimes the Shiksha Guru, the Diksha Guru may send one to a specific Shiksha Guru for further instruction. As Hridaya Chaitanya sent Dukhi Krishna, who later became Shyamananda, to Jiva Goswami. As Narottam and Srinivas also received Shiksha from Jiva Goswami, even though their Diksha Gurus were Gopal Bhatta and Lokanath Das. That doesn't mean they're any less, but for some reason, in different circumstances, they are given over to the Shiksha Guru. But in the Adi Leela, in discussion of Shiksha and Diksha Guru, Srila Prabhupada gives a very powerful purport about the nature of Shiksha and Diksha, how they are non-different. And one who discriminates between them out of ignorance is most foolish and actually makes an offense. Real Shiksha Guru is on the level of Diksha Guru, right? And they are both representatives of Sri Krishna. Krishna is actually the Guru. It's described, Chaitya Guru, Krishna in the heart, is original Guru, but because we can't take instruction purely because we're covered, Krishna empowers perfect devotees to come and to teach us in a way that we can understand, right? They appear externally to us. else. So, Nam Guru can be your Diksha Guru, but can also be your Shiksha Guru, because one who awards instructions about the superiority of Nam Tattva, and one's duty is to maintain fixed and resolute bhakti towards him. One other point, to serve and honor the instructions of Shiksha Guru in no way minimizes or separates you from your relationship with Diksha Guru. In fact, Shiksha Guru reinforces and inspires a deeper appreciation and understanding of your Diksha Guru. This is the real role of Shiksha Guru as well. I know that since hearing and taking guidance from Srila Bhaktivinoda Narayan Goswami Maharaj, appreciation and understanding of Srila Prabhupada's greatness only grows. I remember in the early 1980s, when there was so much confusion after Srila Prabhupada had left, reading some of the literature, especially Sri Guru and His Grace, by Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, how that helped me understand Srila Prabhupada, increased my faith in him immensely. But at the same time, made me appreciate these other Vaishnavas as well. There's no limit to love. Love and service, it expands unlimitedly, right? In fact, that's the very nature of our line. We are serving in Anugatya. We're not even serving Radha and Krishna in a direct way. We're Gopi Bharatura Pada Kamalayor Dasa Dasa Anudas, as Mahaprabhu said. I want to be the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna, who is the Lord of the Gopis, or it can also mean Krishna who worships the Gopis, right? Who's controlled by them. Either way, the servant of the servant. Very glorious, and not limited. In this world, the idea, the closer to the top we are, the more happy we are. I want to be right up there. If I can't be on the very top of the pyramid, I want to be as close as I can in that hierarchy, right? Like the President of the United States, who's the real power? Chief of Staff, because they organize the President's schedule, the agenda, who can meet with him, who cannot. That's the real power behind the throne, right? They can influence in so many ways. And then all those assistants to that Chief of Staff, they all have their power. But the further down you get, the less power there is, right? But in the spiritual world, it's different. We take great joy because what's happening is that we use the example of offering prasadam and then honoring it. We pray to our Guru, you please offer this to your Guru, who will offer this to your Guru, his Guru, and all the way up to Srimati Radhika herself, Lalita and Vishaka. And then they offer to Krishna and Radhika. And then after Radha and Krishna have tasted it, then we offer it back to Lalita, Vishaka, the Sakis, to all of the Brajbasis, right? All of our Guru Varga. And each time any of them taste it, what's happening? When Radhika tastes Krishna's remnants, she's tasting his love for her. When Lalita and Vishaka are tasting it, they're tasting Radhika's relationship and love and joy she experienced in tasting that prasad. Right? And then when Rupa Manjari, Rati Manjari, they taste it, they're tasting not only that, but also that which Lalita and Vishaka and all the Sakis tasted. The joy and the love of their prem is passed down, and each stage more and more is added, right? So, and it's true of seva as well, right? You can do your seva yourself, but when you assist somebody in their seva, there's a special kind of joy inherent in that. Because, especially when you're humble about it and you're appreciative. Oh, I'm so insignificant, I'm just going to do this little bit, but their service is so much better than mine. Somehow or other, when you see the deity, when you chant the holy name, much more comes to you, right? So, so he asks this question, and he says, one who is taking shelter of Sri Nam must also learn from Gurudev about the respective natures of the chit and unconscious and the relationship between them. Now explain the third offense. Sri Nam Guru is he who awards instructions. I'm repeating it because I get a little far afield sometimes. I want to bring us back. Sri Nam Guru is he who awards instructions about the superiority of Nam Tattva. And one's duty is to maintain fixed and resolute bhakti towards him. It is Nam aparadha to minimize the position of Nam Guru, thinking that he knows only about Nam Shastra, whereas the scholars of Vedanta philosophy and other Shastras actually know the meaning of the Shastras. Actually, no Guru is superior to the Nam Tattvavid Guru, and it is an offense to think that he is less important. Right, I remember being in Navadvip one year. It would have been 2003, at the end of Parikram, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Maharaj was giving a class, and he was talking about how some devotees may appear extremely learned, and they know so many shlokas, and they talk about such high topics. And he said that they talk about topics even their guru doesn't talk about. Right? And some devotees will follow these persons and think, oh, they know even more than my Guru Maharaj knows, because they speak such high topics. My Guru won't talk about this, or maybe he can't. Right? And he said, but this is foolish. Real Guru means to know not just the topic, but to know who is qualified to hear that topic and who is qualified to speak the topic. Right? If one is speaking about something without qualification, then it produces the opposite result, both for the speaker and the audience. Right? And so he was speaking like that because there were some devotees who were being seen in that light. And he said, you should not speak about, if Guru is not speaking about, why would you speak about? And he gave some warning. And yet, who is that? Oh my goodness. They gave some warning, and it wasn't heeded. And the devotees that didn't heed the warning, they had some trouble. Right? Oh, my Guru must not know this. But Nam Tattva Guru, when you know, see, this goes back to understanding that there's no difference, that Guru, if he knows Sri Nam, he knows Sri Krishna, he knows his qualities, knows his pastimes, and of course he knows about everything about the insignificant material energy. Oh, he may know about spiritual things, but doesn't know how to manage things in the material world. He's not very good at that. That's also an offense. Guru knows everything. Right? But, they may not manifest, they may hide it. Why? To allow us to do some seva, right? To give us the opportunity. They may even ask advice. I saw Gurudev ask advice many times. Sometimes he would take it and sometimes not. But he wanted to engage us in the process of bhakti, right? The thought process. So, Vijay says, I am assured of well-being if I can maintain pure bhakti towards you, Sri Guru. Please explain the fourth offense. Babaji says, there is a special instruction in the Shruti regarding the ultimate goal. There the glories of Sri Nam are declared to be the foremost of spiritual processes. Ooh, this is a long one. Okay, so we're going to have to do this tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll start with the fourth offense. But that's a good start, these first three offenses, right? To offend the pure devotee, right? Sadhu Ninda, Guru Ninda, right? To consider the powerful demigods to be equal or independent of Lord Vishnu, right? And then the third is to consider that, or to neglect the order of Sri Guru, thinking him, perhaps an ordinary person or limited person, right? That, he may know something about Nam, but I know this and that, or this person knows more about this than my guru does. Um, right, and then not to follow the instruction of Sri Guru, right? To neglect the order or to consider Guru an ordinary person, right? These first three, really, really important. Okay, so tomorrow we'll start with verse 4. Okay, so where's the thing? There we are. Okay, we'll stop here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srila Bhaktivinoda Maharaj, all glories to all the assembled devotees, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Now we have our Guru Puja. Hari Bol.